Recently, Angar got buffed, and not a lot of people are talking about it. I also have a lot of other awesome, easy to access champions that you might have on your account. We're going to talk about all that and put it all together in a sweet team today. Let's go. What's up, guys? MtgJedi here. How you doing today? If you're watching this video when it goes live, I did a gem giveaway in yesterday's shard pull video, and if you're watching this after the fact, shard pull videos equal gem giveaways. At least that's my goal. So make sure you go back and watch that. I'll link it at the end of this video. If you're watching it in the future, then it's super fun. You should watch it anyway. But anyway, today we're talking about Angar as well as a couple other of awesome people. But I wanted to start out with Angar today because I think he's good now.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
I don't think he's insane, but he's very good. And I even am going to go and make a crazy statement and say he's comparable to Krisk. Okay, now, before you get out of hand, I mean, tell me about it in the comments below. But before you get out of hand, let me explain myself, okay? Krisk. Let's flip over to his kit real quick. Krisk is one of the best champions in the game. From time to time, I have referred to him as the best champion in the game. It's arguable whether that's still true or not. He's still amazing. He always has been, always will be. He's Krisk, okay? One of the things that makes him so good is this provoke with these buffs. Additionally, then he does these buffs, and all of that makes him a great mischief tank, and as well as the provoke helper for your Hydra teams. And Angar does both of those things, which is very uncommon and also amazing. So let me tell you about it. On here, he has this provoke and these abilities that all go together in the same A2, and that does all of those things that Krisk just did. Now, Krisk also does other amazing things that Angar doesn't do, but those two things Angar can do. He can be the mischief tank, which all that means is a high resistance champion that has extra buffs, so that the head of mischief will target this champion instead of other champions. And since you have high resistance, you will not get your buff stolen, you will not get, all of those negative things. Now, in addition, we also have a passive that does decrease attack. Now, this decrease attack doesn't go on the head that we need it on, which is Wrath, but I guess it's still helpful. His A1 also is going to be a triple hitter if you are targeting the head that you are provoking. Also, his damage has gone up, but I'm going to show you my build, and I tried to keep it accessible as much as I could, but if you can't make this build yet, then this is something that you want to strive for on your account. So we have this AoE, it's on a 3-turn cooldown, and he's going to get a lot of attacks. He is. He also has an HP in all battles aura that actually could be helpful, especially if you're struggling with survivability in Hydra. Alright, moving on to the second champion from the thumbnail. Ostrox, the fake lizardman, is really, really good. Big shout out to my dude William, who has been pushing once in a while to remind me. I don't even know if he's doing it on purpose or not, but he loves this champion, and so it's been a nice reminder I need to get some content on him because he's great. Block buffs is one of the best debuffs that you can put in Hydra. Like, two of the most important debuffs are Provoke, which we're using Angar for, and Block buffs, which we're using Ostrox for. And that is going to be on his A2. So, if 4 or more enemies are alive, which is typical, then you can place block buffs for the full 3 turns, and it's on a 3-turn cooldown. That is unmatched. I don't think there's any other champion in the game who does this. And as long as you can provoke so that you don't get cleansed, you'll have block buffs up the whole fight, which is absolutely incredible, okay? That is going to help so much survivability, so Wrath won't kill you. So many problems are going to be alleviated from having that block buffs up. Now, also, he does this remove 1 random buff and increase accuracy. It's nice, it's okay, it's not the best. Alright, his passive, whenever an enemy attempts to place a debuff, he can reflect it back. That's actually helpful. And then the A1, he can transfer a random debuff from himself to the target and heals the ally with the lowest HP by 10% of their max HP. Not his, but theirs, okay? Now, his base stats are not that great, but he does have an increased accuracy in all battles aura. And all of that works together really well. I think this is a champion that you should definitely be using in one of your Hydra teams if you don't have some of the best block buffs champions. You know, like, let's say you don't have Ugo, you don't have Monkey King. There are plenty of reasons why you would want him in your team. Let's say you want to use Venus or Lydia, so you can have decreased defense and weaken. Then you can use him instead of using Ugo, okay? And I think that he's really amazing. He's another option for you. All right, so let's jump into the team, and I'm going to tell you some information. We're going to showcase this on Hard Hydra. We're going to look at the builds. We're going to do all of those things. All right, so let's take a look at the team here, and I'll explain why our leader is missing, okay? Now, a lot of you guys are going to be like, bro, how can I can't use Michinaki. I don't have him, okay? And that's totally fine, okay? Michinaki can be any decreased defense champion. He's just the one that I wanted to use here because he fits really well. He has decreased defense and hex, and then if any buffs get up there through the block buffs, since we only have Angar for provoking, then he can remove them. That does happen a couple times per fight. Now, who I really wanted to put in here was her. Okay, Rian the Conjurer, and maybe I just need to make another video on this because Rian is really amazing. She strips the buffs and does the weaken, and also has a revive, and also has block buffs on her A1. She's really good and super underrated. However, I couldn't get this team to be survivable enough with her in the team. I needed a little bit more help, and so that's why I went with the Queen, okay? That's why I went with the White Queen, because she is going to do a lot more. She's going to place this shield. She has the reviving, okay? All of this stuff she's going to do really well. We don't have the King on the team, but I don't think that that's necessary, all right? Now, why do I not have her in the leader spot? Because I have Inquisitor Shamail here. Inquisitor Shamail is going to boost whoever I put there. All right, and so I'm really excited to show you a couple different options of who you can put here. And then all of this works together really well. One of the reasons why some players struggle in Hydra is because they don't have the right team composition. Too many damage dealers. You're missing a key debuff. You don't have an answer to one of the heads, okay? So this is a great layout of a team structure. Somebody for decreased defense, somebody for hex. Sometimes you want an answer to the fear head. In this case, this is a lower damage team. I tried to keep the gear reasonable as much as I could, and we'll talk about that. But if the fear head is starting out in your initial rotation and you don't have a high damage team, then you want an answer for him. If you have a high damage team and you can kill the heads pretty quickly, then a lot of times you can get away with just a cleanser, for example, instead of a direct answer. Then we have block buffs, we have provoke, we have a mischief tank, and most importantly, we have a reviver, okay? I don't think that she's the best reviver. I actually think Kaja might be a better reviver than her, but she's the one that I chose for today. I've been really enjoying King and Queen on my account, and I know a lot of people got the Queen. So I think that that's a reasonable thing to include here. Please tell me if I'm wrong, all right? Now, we're going to try a bunch of different people in this leader spot. I was going to put this in the thumbnail, but he did not turn out that well. I know everybody knows that he sucks, but I was really hopeful that he was going to be good, and I haven't given up on it yet. I really want to try him in a higher end team, because I think he could open up the damage for other champions. But here's the thing, though. The thing is that his damage just sucks. And I know a lot of people don't have him, but Plarium, please just buff his damage. I know it'll make some people angry, but it will also make a lot of people happy. So just buff it a little bit. You can buff it specifically for Hydra if you want. I just want to use him. He's cool. And I got him. And I want to use him. He is very cool. But unfortunately right now he is not very good. Also, his animations are slow and cool, but they're slow. So this is the first champion that we're going to test in here. The second champion we're going to test is an epic champion, and the third champion we're going to test is a champion that everybody should have. So let's go look at some damage and see what this team is capable of. Before I do that, actually, let me take a look here at the Angar so you can see, because this is pretty important, okay? You can basically ignore the fact that I have reflex and like a quad accuracy weapon. You can ignore that, okay? All we're looking for is the stats. Now, the first thing that you might notice is that he does have some damage here, okay? That is optional. It is not mandatory for you to build damage in here. The first thing you need to build is resistance and accuracy. But I want to show you the full build so that you can use it, okay? I didn't fully level up the speed boots. They're also not very good, but I didn't fully ascend them. I didn't go and glyph all of this stuff. This is just an offset of gloves that I had. This is just a chest that I had, and they helped me get the stats that I'm looking for. The stats I'm looking for is 400 resistance and 250 accuracy or so for Hard Hydra. The crazy thing about resistance in Hydra is that you don't need that much more resistance for Brutal and Nightmare, okay? The resistance is very high. The resistance requirements for Hydra is very high. All right, so with that being said, you can ignore the crit rate and crit damage if you want to, but he does do a little bit of damage. Not a ton, but he does a little bit. But the thing is, you still want to have Warmaster on the majority of your champions. Unless you have a really high DPS champion, then you can start going things like Helm Smasher, which is great, but most of the time you're going to want Warmaster on your Hydra champions still. Okay, with that being said, let me also show you the Ostrox build. The rest of them are more standard, okay? This is, to me, one of the standard operating procedure type builds that is my go-to for Hydra, and that is the Relentless set, okay? I also put the Resilience set here just because I wanted to use some gear that was reasonable. It's going to give you that HP and defense. Everybody has it, blah, 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 okay? Now, what are we looking for on Ostrox? We're just looking for some survivability. We're looking for speed and accuracy. This build is almost good enough for Brutal, And so what I'm going to do is I'll upgrade a couple of things. If you want to move from hard to brutal, the biggest thing you can do is the speed. Getting up towards or above 250 speed on all of your team is one of the best ways to get brutal locked down. Same thing with Nightmare, you know, and then continue as fast as you can. We really want to get up to 350 accuracy for Brutal and Nightmare, so we would need some more accuracy on him, and I would like a little bit more speed, a little bit more survivability. So for Brutal, if I bring this guy back, you guys want to see him in another video, make sure you let me know about that. But this is the build we're going to be using for today. I do have masteries on him. This is going to be the same type of setup as Angar, okay? These champions are booked. That is important. If you're struggling on Hydra, I had this question the other day, should I book someone? The answer is yes. If they're one of your main Hydra champions, yeah, you should definitely book them. So I'm going to slip that little tip in there as well. All right, let's look at some teams. Let's see some damage. I know you're excited because I'm excited too. Okay, you remember that saying when we were kids, like, first is the worst, second is the best? Well, that's kind of true here. If you take a look, Blademaster only did 6.5 million damage. We lasted about 11 minutes into this fight, which is not going to be, you know, so coming up to the turn meter, turn meter, oh my goodness, all of the words. The turn limit. We didn't reach the turn limit or anything crazy. This is not like a super endgame team. I didn't go like put like crazy damage in these builds and like put them at 300 speed. None of that kind of stuff, okay? So what I did here was keep the team manageable. So Blademaster, he did not work out. And so let's talk about the next team, because I was like, that's not good enough for this video. Who else could I put in this spot? So the next person we're going to try is awesome, and I think I've barely scratched the surface of his potential. And that is going to be my dude Scank. Okay, now Scank does not have an aura, but boosting him with Shamail is sweet. And you might be saying, well, couldn't we just boost with Michinaki? And you're right, and that would be amazing, but that's not the point. Alright, so I put Scank in the lead because he has got this HP burn ability. He's got a really cool kit. And the longer you survive, the more powerful he becomes. The problem is that he's just a damage dealer, and so a lot of times you replace him with somebody who's a damage dealer that also does something else. Okay, but he has this self-buff, he's got the weaken on the A1, which is helpful, and I really like the weaken A1 because when you kill a head, then on the neck, you can get the weaken in there and get some really good damage going. Also, he's got a sweet passive that's going to boost up his damage. Now, for my total stats on him, I didn't have anything crazy here. I tried to stay pretty mid-game with just some accuracy, a little bit of crit damage, a little bit of speed, a little bit of attack. Hopefully you can hit those stats. If not, that's something to work towards, okay? Keep farming, sell all that crappy 5-star gear, focus on your 6-star gear, work on your Great Halls, and etc. Farm Sand Devil, do all the things. You'll be able to get these kind of stats easily as well. Alright, so Scank did a heck of a lot better, so let's see that breakdown. Alright, so we only made it 10 minutes on this team, but you could see Scank did like 9 million. And obviously Michinaki's doing good damage as well. That should be noted because he's an amazing champion. You should definitely use him if possible. Also, Shamail can be built for damage. He's doing a great job also. And then lastly, Angar is doing some work also, okay? Ankora and Ostrox are really just there for support. They're helping the rest of the team succeed. And so all of these teams have gotten the minimum damage that we're looking for, which is 21 million, okay? But we not only want to get the minimum damage, then we want to push our team forward. Now, I do want to say also, I would have put the fusion in this team if I could have, okay? So I think she's amazing. You should go for her. Estrid, however you want to say her name, she's really, really good, and I would have put her in this team if I had her. So that is one thing that is of note as well. And then the third champion is someone who you all have. So can you guess who that is? Let's reveal it here in one more second. That third and final champion is my dude, Rathalos Blademaster. I absolutely love this guy, and if you are not using him, you definitely should be. He is freaking amazing, guys. He's probably one of your best Hydra damage dealers on your account. He probably is. This ability, his A1D, I mean, his whole kit, it's so good. Okay, now the only HP burn that we would have to go with him in here is Michinaki's A1, but that's still something, okay? We don't have an AoE HP burn in here. I couldn't find a way to fit, you know, that in while having survivability and using these champions, etc., okay? However, he is so freaking good, but I didn't want him to be the only option in here because, you know, I have him empowered, I have him awakened, I have him in pretty decent gear, or I did. I think I stole some of his gear when I was gearing someone this morning, so I got to go back and look at that. But either way, when I ran it, I had him in pretty decent gear, and I think that you should definitely be using him. That's a big takeaway from this video, is Rathalos Blademaster should probably be in one of your teams. Preferably one with AoE HP burn, like Supreme Gallic would be great, even Artak would be great. You can probably one key any difficulty in Hydra with just Artak and Rathalos Blademaster, and then the rest of your team to support them. I'm not kidding about that. I really think that that statement is true. Alright, so what kind of damage did we get out of this team? Do you think it's going to be more or less? Did I overhype it? Let's see the results. Here we go, highest damage, and all of these runs went about the same length, guys. So we ended the runs, because I did it on auto, right? We ended the runs really similarly into the fight, except Rathalos did more damage, 10.6. Michinaki did a little bit more damage here as well, 12.4. So I think that we actually took a little bit more turns here. We got a little bit further into the fight. But it was only 11 minutes essentially, okay? So this was the best version of the team. I don't think that this is the only version of the team. It's very customizable to your account. Obviously, you don't even need Angar here. So if you're like, well, I don't have Angar, you can put anybody in there you want. Molly would be an insanely good replacement for Angar. I think she's still better than Angar. She can do everything Angar does except more. She has the 2-turn provoke, but she has the revive. She's got the turn meter fill. So if you don't have Angar, go for Molly. If you don't have Molly, then you're going to have to probably rethink. But there's probably some other options as well for you. If you got Molly in there in place of Angar, then you would not need Ankora, and you could put another damage dealer in there. There's a lot of other things you could do. That would be the way that I would get the fusion in here, would be Ankora coming out, Angar coming out, and actually, let me just lay that out for you. So this would be the team here. You would go Fusion or Nikmo. Either one would be great. You would put Michinaki in the lead probably for his aura and because he's amazing. Then whatever damage dealer you want in place of Rathalos here. You have your Shamail, your Ostrox, and your Molly. There are a lot of upgrades here, guys. You can do a lot of things. If you wanted to go one step further, instead of Ostrox, you could go Supreme Gallic. I've already used him for this week, so he's a little bit locked behind me here. But yeah, that block buffs could be somebody different as well if you don't want to use Ostrox. But I'm guessing since you clicked on this video, you kind of want to use Ostrox. So maybe you are coming back towards this original type of team that we were working on, okay? And then, as I said, the main damage dealer can be anyone you want. The decreased defense can be anyone you want, as long as you're filling those roles. Let me know what you think in the comments below about this team setup, all of these awesome different champions that we're using in Hydra, and who are some cool champions that you'd like to see used in Hydra. Have you found any hidden gems? Please let me know. I love working on Hydra teams and strategies. It's one of my most fun things in the game to do. I also do Hydra takeovers, so if you need some coaching advice on what Hydra teams to use, or you want some builds for Hydra teams, I love doing both of those things, and you can check out the pricing on my website. Message me in Discord if you need some assistance, and come hang out on stream when we're doing the takeovers so you can see me do these kind of builds live. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. I appreciate you. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.